This is Greg Troutwine with Maritime Reporter TV, and we're very pleased to be joined today by Jeff Chittum, the North American Senior Product Manager for Heavy Industrial Products, to discuss the ESAB Heavy Industrial Product line and WeldCloud online applications. But to start, can you give us an overview of what you see as the primary drivers for your technology development and your business today?
So one of the biggest drivers for the welding equipment industry currently is advancing technologies. And when we talk about advancing technologies, there's two sides of it, really. We see the need for advancing technologies to improve the operations for the operator themselves. We know that the industry is in dire need of more skilled trades workers. There's, kind of that lack of personnel in the industry. And so we see a need for improving technologies, but simplifying the use of those technologies also, so that once the operator has that technologies in their hands, it's not weeks or months of training that they need to be able to operate it. It's very simplified, very easy to use. And so that's the one side. The other side that we see for the industry is the improving of the technologies for the quality side, the production side. So improving productivity, improving quality. And so we have a better product going out the door for our end users, as well as faster productivity. And so, those two sides of the industry coming together, the need for higher technologies for the welder themselves, but also for the products, the improved productivity and quality side.
Jeff, I must admit that when you mentioned welding and shipyard tools, the connection between the digitalization trend that's sweeping through maritime is not the first thing that comes to my mind. But I understand that ESAB offers WeldCloud, which is a suite of online data management applications. Can you dig down a little deeper? What exactly is WeldCloud?
So WeldCloud is a online application for weld data management. And when we talk about weld data, there's the arc-on times for the operators, the welding parameters, so monitoring your amps and volts. There's also the wire deposition rates, wire consumed per part. And so there's a lot of data that goes into it. And, some customers, end users are really using that data for, are they the welders or the operators? Even in some scenarios, the robots or automation systems, are the parameters being followed? Are we in our welding procedure specifications of amps, volts, travel speeds, wire feed speed, right? Just so that we know that we're going to have the sound quality that's required for those parts. And so the productivity is going to be there, as well as we know a sound weld. Right? So the quality, subsurface defects are going to be taken care of. But also on the other side of the weld data is for end users starting to use it, I guess, for more quoting purposes, right? Once they get to know their weld data, they get to see real arc-on times, they get to see the productivity that's going on in their shops, and they get a better feel in real time of their productivity. And they can better quote that way, whether it's, better quoting for faster productivity, or they've realized, maybe these parts take 2 or 3 days longer than we first realized. And so they can readjust and they can get a better feel for where they're at for quoting. And so it's just some real-time data to help them with their production.
Looking at this a little bit more closely, can you discuss specifically how WeldCloud can help to make overall welding operations more efficient?
So overall, with the real-time data readout that you can get, and you can access this data right from the welding machine, the human interface that we have on the welding machines. You can also access the data from your laptop in your office. But you can also, if you have a tablet or your certain cell phone applications, can access this data. And so you can get real-time feedouts from the online applications. And so you can get a feel of where certain operators are at. You can get a feel for where, if it is an automation piece of equipment, if it's operating properly. And so you can use it to, again, look at big picture. Overall, how did that part, or whether it's a ship, a panel line, something like that. If it was welded properly with the proper parameters, did it take the proper amount of time? But you can also use it to see if there's any anomalies going on. If you can see one of the operators is running at a very high amperage, well, maybe he's having some wire feeding issues. Maybe there's an operator discrepancy with some stick out changes, that sort of thing. And so it gives you a good idea of real-time readouts from anywhere, really, anywhere globally, as long as you can access from a tablet or from your cell phone, and you can see and you can monitor, and then you can get in touch with, the plant managers, plant supervisors. Hey, this the panel line's running. Torch number 2 has a very high amperage. Let's go check out the wire conduits. Maybe it's having a little bit of trouble feeding wire, and the amperages are a little, out of whack, so to say, or running a little bit higher than they should be. And then so you have that due diligence, and so it really helps fine tune the weld quality side of things. And again, everything's recorded, so you can access all the data. So heaven forbid something down the road, there's a failure, a part failure, you have the data in your hands. You can go back and you can say, no, I know that weld on panel line number 2, torch 5, at that time, that specific weld was welded with the right amps, the right wire feed speed, the right voltages, the right travel speeds. And so you really have, that real-time data readout. So you're analyzing on the fly, but you also have the data for down the road if you need to go back, check things out, and you then again use it for monitoring your productivity.
So in summary, how will users of ESAB tools that are enabled with WeldCloud benefit?
So in summary, it's that combination of a nice, easy, simple to use interface for the operator, the welder. Again, whether it's manual or automation, it's quick, it's easy to use. And with the weld data monitoring equipment, we can have that real life feedback and see how things are going, especially new operators, so that, giving them the real live feed out. So we're not just using it to monitor and make sure they're doing their job properly, but they get the feedback too of, did I have the right stick outs? Am I using the right travel speeds, torch angles, that sort of thing. So you get the feedback of the parameters. But then also on the productivity side of things, on the weld quality, the due diligence that the end user has to make sure that the productivity, their parts are being made to specs, to the welding procedure specifications that they have in place.
Jeff, let's move on from WeldCloud and look at the ESAB heavy industrial product line. Can you give us a brief on the line and the rationale behind its development?
So the ESAB heavy industrial product line is really broken into 2 sectors. We have what we call the Warrior product line. It's a CCCV multi-process. And so, it has the capabilities, MIG, stick, TIG, and, the changeouts are quick, easy. Again, the human interface with those machines are very user-friendly. So again, the less training time is needed. And so that's the Warrior side of things. It's the brand name that we give it. Again, CCCV multi-process equipment. And then we have our pulse capable machines. So the Aristos, that's where we get a little bit more into the advanced technology, pulse on pulse capabilities for specific, very strategic welding applications, very critical applications, whether it's, stainless steels, aluminums. And so you're either looking for a very high weld quality, or you're looking for a nice bead appearance. But we also, again, keeping that human interface involved with it, with the advanced technologies, keeping it very user-friendly, very easy to use, very easy to learn. And so that the operators are often welding very quickly, even with the high technologies in those equipment.
So as you know better than I, there are multiple types of welds that can be found on every boat and ship. How does the heavy industrial product line address the need for a flexible multi-purpose tool?
So with the heavy industrial line, we have what we have called synergic line. So very specific waveforms, pulse waveforms, or even just CCCV welding parameters that are very specific to all different applications. And so we could have a synergic line that's specific to a flux core welding type of wire, generally used in the shipyards, specifically for out of positions of vertical ups or overheads, if you're putting some panels together. And so there's very specific fine-tuned parameters for flux core wires, but we also have them for aluminums and also mild steel wires, stainless steel wires. And so it gives the technology and the equipment to be fine-tuned specifically for the application. And so again, whether it's flux cores, aluminums, mild steel, solid wires, but again, being able to select those synergic lines nice and easy for the operator. In talking, so that was, the synergic lines, the specific technology in the equipment. But when we talk about the equipment itself, and we have the CCCV multi-process line, very robust equipment. We know it has heavy duty cycles. It can withstand the environments. And so in partnering with that, we have the new wire feeder, the robust feed line of equipment. And so you can use that for just CCCV, or we do have it for the pulse models also. And that robust feeder, it's very similar to that, the stigma of a suitcase feeder, a very portable feeder, but it's kind of a combination. And so we have it, it's benchtop capable, so you can put it right on top of your welding machine. Or we also have, wheel kits or other capabilities that it's extremely portable. There's lifting handles on it, so you can carry it around. You can drag it by your welding gun if you had to, with strain reliefs. And so this robust feeder, the ESAB HIP product line, it's extremely well adapted to the shipyard industry, being portable, being extremely robust, reliable, with all the technology, so all the capabilities that you need. And so we've really been able to take that, the suitcase feeder type of welding feeders that are very prominent in the shipyard industry, and adapting it to all industries, really, so that it's capable of doing all different technologies. And so Shipyard specifically, absolutely a key part of our HIP product line for the shipyards.
Jeff, when I talk to shipyards, their number one need traditionally is welders and fitters. As you well know, training a welder takes some time. Can you discuss how the heavy industrial product line helps to reduce training time?
So one of the great features of the heavy industrial product line is, we do have the very simplified, very user-friendly interfaces for the CCCV multi-process machines, where it really is just, you're just selecting stick or TIG or MIG welding. And with that, very simplified welding parameter selection. And then once you get into our higher technologies, the pulse waveforms, pulse on pulse waveforms, we understand it's very high technology, but when we simplify it by giving a limited amount of adjustability to the operators. And so when you narrow that window of the adjustability, it's very quick and easy to learn how to operate these machines, but also to see your parameter changes in real time in the arc. So, you're not changing a lot of background things to see minimum differences. We give you, the meat and potatoes, so to say, of the welding parameters. And so when you're making those adjustments, you see the feedback in your arc right away. It gives those new operators, whether they're new to the industry in general, or, they're changing from being a stick welder to a MIG welder, and they're trying to learn how different feedbacks from amperage, wire feed speed, voltages, or even just their stick outs, travel angles. And so you're able to see the feedback in the arc right away. And so for a new operator, absolutely, we have the side of the HIP product line, extremely user-friendly. And then we do have the advanced technologies, but we take that human interface and we've simplified it as much as possible so that you can have those high technologies, improve your welding quality, improve your productivity, but also keep it user-friendly.
Ultimately, the quality of any commercial ship hangs on the quality of its weld. How does the heavy industrial product line help welders to provide a consistent quality weld?
One of the great features of the heavy industrial product line of ESAB is the ability to save your welding parameters. And so, every customer, every end user out there has welding procedure specifications. They've qualified them to different governing bodies, even globally, different governing bodies, depending on where the ships are being used and what kind of quality standards they have to adhere to. And so one of the great things is you have your welding procedure specification, and now you can go to the welding machine and you can save those specific parameters inside the welding machine. And so if you have, say 350 inches per minute wire feed speed, but you have a plus or minus of 5-10%, depending on the specification, allowable, you can save those percentage changes inside the welding machine And so now you know that those welding parameters are always going to be followed. You know that you're going to have a sound weld. The operators are going to have optimal welding parameters to be able to do their job properly. And so you have that overall due diligence of, you have the proper welding parameters. The operators have adjustability so that, in different scenarios, they're going to be in different welding positions. They're going to want different parameters to be able to adjust. And so they have that adjustability, but you also have that the overall welding procedure specifications saved in the machine. So you have that repeatability. And also you have the WeldCloud so that you're monitoring and making sure that those parameters are being followed. So extremely, a high due diligence on your welding quality, your productivity, and your repeatability that way.
Okay. Well, Jeff, again, we appreciate your time and we look forward to following up with you again in the future.
Perfect. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Greg.